Just going to give a quick heads up and a warning. Today's video is going to be very controversial. I'm going to be speaking directly to the servicemen of the United States of America. One of the reasons you don't see the Florida Maquis, the channel, mentioned by name or promoted by other major channels that I've promoted is because they can't risk being associated with me on either side. I'm sure many believe that I am some kind of a evil, terrible, horrible, socialist, communist that is totally anti-American. Not true. I'm against Washington, D.C. I am against our military being used to solve a personal political vendetta inside of Venezuela. Do I believe Chavismo should be exported to North America? No. That's up for the American people to decide. But it goes to binary thinking. Either you're all with A or you're all with B. Anything else is just not considered. So that aside, this issue with illegal orders or our military deploying in this situation, let me be real clear to any serviceman out there within the sound of my voice. You find yourself on the ground in Colombia, follow orders. First time, no questions asked. If you fail to do so, you're going to get your buddies killed. You have a unit to protect. You have a job to do. Believe me, over on the other side, those guys in Venezuela, they are standing with their leader. That doesn't mean, more than likely, behind closed doors, they're not having conversation. But when the shit gets thick, that's not the time for contemplating your navel. Do what you're ordered to do. Now, that's one reason a lot of the people on the left are probably never going to admit ever being associated with the Maquis. Because they automatically, a lot of them, believe the military is criminal and all this kind of stuff, and that a whole bunch of 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds are sophisticated enough to grasp the concepts we're talking about. Even if they were in uniform, on duty, on the ground, is not the place to do it. First off, defensive operations, all orders given in defensive operations, by definition, are never considered illegal orders. You can never have an illegal order to defend either you or anyone around you or any other asset from an offensive attack. It's just the way it is. You can debate whether that's right or wrong, but once again, deployed on the ground is not the time for that. Our vice president is announcing that he is going to be going down there money to give a speech to support this criminal who has decided to declare himself president. This is the crux of what we're going to be talking about today. Also, Venezuela has closed its border with Brazil, closed its northern sea border with Curacao, Bonaire, and Aruba, and will more than likely be closing its western border with Colombia at Cucuta very shortly. Now, what does this all have to do with our military, and what's the controversial part? This is an unprecedented situation. Let me say this right off the bat. Never has this been seen before in the world, where there are two individuals both claiming to be the commander-in-chief of their armed forces. Random guy named Juan said that after the 23rd, there was going to be consequences if the military didn't flip. What he's going to have to do, random guy named Juan, is declare the entire military of Venezuela to be rogue terrorist criminals. Now, what that has to do with U.S. soldiers is this. We'll get to that in a minute. The Geneva Conventions, which will apply here, are very specific about dealing with rogue terrorist elements or uniformed soldiers of a military. our commanders, meaning the U.S. commanders, are going to be instructing our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, to treat uniformed Venezuelan soldiers as terrorists and criminals. The rest of the world, meaning the UN and those who would bring any of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine up on war crimes charges, are going to be seeing the standing military of Venezuela as uniformed combatants. There is this thing called Protocol 1. Protocol 1 says that international conflicts will be defined as any armed conflict in which peoples are fighting against colonial domination, alien occupation, or racist regimes. That's how this is going to be seen by the UN, by Geneva Convention definition, with the U.S. forcing itself and invading that country, whether it's to deliver humanitarian aid or not, is not going to be a point of contention, because once those borders close and the Venezuelan government says, meaning Nicolas Maduro says, no, nothing's coming in, anything that violates that violates their sovereign integrity of that nation and can be perceived as an attack. Now, I'm sure the U.S. is going to try to color this a completely different way. And this is going to go before an international court, and we will lose. We're outnumbered. Not only in population of the countries that are against us. See if I can find the picture. But Russia and China have 2 controlling votes on the Security Council. The U.S. loses this badly. Now, however, this is the important part. And I'm sorry if I sound a little bit stuttered in my speaking. It's a lot of ideas to keep going at the same time. For there to be a soldier or sailor, airman, Marine brought up on war crimes charges for whatever is done, one of the facts that has to be brought out is, did this particular individual have a reasonable belief that their actions were criminal? In this case, I don't know how that could ever be asserted because of the incredibly confusing nature of the situation. We have a guy on the left, never won a presidential election ever, never stood for a presidential election ever. We have a guy on the right, stood for 2 presidential elections, won both of them. And the military of his country, the active military, the National Guard, and their civilian militia all recognize him as their leader. The guy on the left is only recognized by a foreign nation, the United States of America. The guy on the left cannot make the allegation this is a civil war because in Venezuela there is not a single living soul willing to stand with him in a military way. He had to go to another country and basically use them as a mercenary force to get his way. That's the danger. That's the trap here, U.S. soldier, U.S. serviceman. The U.S. military is being treated as if it were a mercenary force by wealthy Venezuelans in Miami, because they don't like the political climate in Venezuela. This is just the facts. Whether the U.S. would agree with that or not is irrelevant as regards you. Defensive operations cannot be ever seen as illegal orders, meaning defending yourself from an offensive attack. So if you are ordered to go into Venezuela to guard a convoy and you come under personal attack, you may defend yourself. But if there are soldiers in uniform standing in front of and blocking your way, and you are ordered to open fire or use any type of offensive asset to clear that road, and they make the allegation that it's terrorists or that it's criminals, you're going to be in a world hurt. I would not envy your situation one bit, because they have put you in an impossible place. The only answer, and it's a horrible one, it's a horrible one because I can't even say that I suggest it. There is no choice once you deploy. Once you're on the ground and you are in operations, protect your unit, protect your buddies, follow orders, or you're going to come home to someone's mom, someone's sister, someone's wife, fiance, with absolutely no answers. Between now and the next 48 hours or the next week, it's going to be something where you're going to probably have to spend a lot of time on your knees. I know I would be. Because I really don't know what to tell any one individual. Speaking to the commanders, and I mean battalion, brigade, and up, you can make a difference, and you can make a difference right now in this by running this up the chain. Protocol 1, Geneva Conventions need to be clarified before you will give the order to deploy. I'll say it again. Protocol 1, Geneva Conventions need to be clarified before you will give an order for your units to deploy. And if they give you some kind of a mucky, weird political answer on this, the American people will stand by you. They absolutely will. It's, once again, unprecedented. And this will be a matter for the courts. And I guess I will just have to leave it there. Like, share, subscribe.